guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making my favorite all-time French recipe, coq au vin. It is so good, and I'm going to demystify this recipe for you guys to cook for your family today. If you're new, definitely hit that subscribe button, girl, and if you're returning, it is so good to see you. Let's get cooking. So I'm going to put the recipe to this in the descriptions down below. I posted this on my Instagram account at Mrs. Lauren Nicholsen, and y'all blew me up in my DMs, so I decided to cook this for you guys today so that you can make this as well. It is a super, super delicious recipe that your whole family will love. I'm going to be serving it with egg noodles, but it's actually best served with mashed potatoes. So let's get started. I'm going to be chopping up all the things I need for this recipe, which are 6 to 8 pieces of chicken thighs and drumsticks. I'm going to be using about 8 ounces of pancetta, some carrots, yellow onions, some garlic. These are cremini mushrooms. They're so good. We're going to saute those down in a heap of butter. And then I'm going to be using some regular onions. They were out of pearl onions, but the best is to use pearl onions. We're going to use a little brandy, some red wine, girl, you know it's my favorite, and then some chicken stock, some flour, and a little bit of butter. I like to top this with some thyme, so definitely get the little packets of fresh thyme. So to get everything prepared, I am going to put everything in a little tiny bowl so I have it all ready to go. And then I'm going to be dressing our chicken with a little bit of salt and pepper. Now for this recipe, you guys know I have 4 kids, so I'm making a little bit of extra chicken for my kids' lunches the next day. Disregard the stuff on the left, that's for lunch tomorrow. But the pieces on the right, we're going to be dipping into this amazing dish today. So this dish actually calls for a bottle of wine. I'm going to test it out to make sure it's super delicious, which it was, but you're going to want to get like a nice Merlot or a Zinfandel, something with a really good full body, but also has some really nice deep fruits in it. You can even use a Cabernet, but find something that's got some really, really good thick structure to it. So I'm going to be making a little roux here that's just a little bit of flour and butter. We're going to use this at the very end to thicken up our sauce, and it's super easy to make. You just keep mashing it up until it turns into a nice paste. To get started, I'm going to heat up our pancetta in the Dutch oven. I am going to cook the entire dish in here. So what I like to do is actually do the pancetta. You can also do bacon so that when I do the chicken, the fat from the bacon actually cooks into the meat instead of putting it in at the end. Plus it gets a little soggy if you do it last. So I like to do this and then I set it aside. While that's kind of cooking, I want to saute all of those amazing cremini mushrooms. I use a nice thick piece of butter. Again, this is a French recipe. This is not super healthy, but it is so delicious. So let's cook these down. We're going to add these towards the end to our dish. After you remove all the pancetta, keep the oil nice and hot, and we're going to actually brown all of our chicken. You want to pre-cook this before you add your vegetables in. That way it locks in all the flavor and the moisture. Let these cook until they get nice and crispy on the outside, then flip them over. We'll do these in batches so everybody gets nice and crunchy. So now that the chicken has been nice and browned, I want to actually remove some of the fond at the bottom. This is really, really good. This is going to incorporate all those amazing, authentic flavors that were cooked down from the chicken. And if you have a hard time scraping yours off the bottom, just add a tiny bit of chicken stock and it'll come right up. I'm going to add in my carrots and onions, and we're going to stew these all down. And try to mix it up so you get all of that really delicious oil that we have been preparing from the pancetta, and also some of the pieces from the seasonings that you put on the chicken. Once that's kind of nice and stewed down, I'm going to add my garlic. I also put onion in at the very end, that way to bring up the acidity and the brightness. Otherwise this cooks really like kind of more like a stew. So I just added a little bit of the brandy to this. I'm going to let this sit for a minute and then add our pancetta back. feel like the vegetables and pancetta have really started to come together, start to add your chicken. I kind of start to tuck mine in and hide it in all the little pieces. That way, what we want this to do is to cook down in the wine and to be fall off the bone moist and delicious. So I'm gonna add in my wine and then a little bit of chicken stock to kind of bring this up in layers. So I'm gonna also add some sprigs of this fresh thyme and then again, layer back on our wine. This is going to kind of create layers of flavor. And once that's done, we're gonna go ahead and pop this in the oven for about 40 minutes. While that's cooking, we're gonna go ahead and start our pasta. For this dish, I'm going to be using one of my favorite pastas. It's a pappardelle. It's a nice, thick egg noodle. It absorbs the juice from this dish really easily, and I also use this with my short ribs as well. But the traditional way to make this dish would be with mashed potatoes, but you can use whichever one you like. While that's cooking, I'm going to prepare our salad for the evening. I love green goddess dressing. Please definitely subscribe to my channel because I have my recipe coming up very soon for you guys to see. I think it'll be out on Sunday. But this is an awesome salad. It's just some fresh, hearty Italian kale with green goddess dressing. So to kind of thicken up this sauce, we're going to add in that roux we made, which is just flour and butter. And you'll see immediately the sauce, which is boiling away here, will start to really thicken up. You don't always have to do this part, but I really highly recommend it if you're going to put it over something like egg noodles or any kind of mashed potatoes. Right before you serve, you'd want to add in some either pearl onions. I'm adding in just some regular yellow onions. It'll really bring the acidity up and brightness, so it's not too, the consistency is not too much like a stew. But this chicken is fall off the bone. So delicious, ready to be devoured. I cannot wait to get this on the dinner table. So while the chicken is cooling, before I'll serve it to the kids, I always like to clean up the kitchen from cooking as much as possible. Right after dinner, you're going to see all the dishes pile up in the kitchen, and it can be a little overwhelming with a family of 6. Also, right after dinner, I do all of the night routine with the kids, so I won't come back down to the kitchen until after dark, which I'll definitely show you how I prep the kitchen before the next day. It is a school night for us, so things are always a little hectic. But I'm going to clean everything up, sit down, enjoy dinner with my family, and then I'll see you back in here in a little bit. And I'm giving us one last chance, 'cause I don't want to lose what we had. 'Cause I'm not feeling right, and I'm tired of this loneliness. Let me prove it, 'cause I swear I will. Love you better. Tell me in the comments down below if you are new to my channel. I'd love to know where you live and what brought you to this channel. I am so excited for 2021 because I have great plans to grow this channel, to share more cooking, decorating, cleaning, and just large family, good tradition vibes with you all. So definitely hit the subscribe button. I'd be so grateful if you would join me on this journey, and tell me where you're from and what really gets you motivated as a mom to keep your house nice and clean and to create some great lasting memories with your kids. And for all my returning subs, tell me what you thought about this recipe. I know a lot of you told me on Instagram how much you wanted to try it. So I'd love to know if you've ever had coq au vin or if you are excited to try it. It is hands down one of my favorite French recipes. And y'all know we live in wine country here in California. So I feel like we're super exposed to a lot of different cooking and a lot of different recipes. And this is by far one of my favorites. So definitely try this and tag me at Mrs. Lauren Nicholsen on Instagram if you do.
Everything reminds me of you. I can't take no more. Girl, I think I'm losing my mind.
One of the other things I love about this dish is how easy it is to save for the next couple days. It actually kind of gets better the next day. Like all the flavors really infuse into the vegetables, and it's such a great dish. I cannot wait for y'all to try it. The other thing you guys know is I love to cook with cast iron, so I'll show you how I season my cast iron skillet. It's actually quite simple. I always do clean it out, that way the flavors from one dish to another don't get into whatever I'm cooking, but I like to keep a little bit of the water from when I cleaned it, and then I'll heat it up on a nice hot flame until it gets super hot, and then I'll add a little bit of extra virgin olive oil and let that heat up until it's like super hot, and then I'll take it off the heat and leave it out overnight.
Go back to that moment in time when you say you want me for life. Was it all a lie? I gave my all to deserve ya, begging on my knees just to show ya you're the one I want and I love ya. No lie. I miss your touch from your hands and your body. It hurts so much to think of you with someone else. Can't get enough when you're sweet talking to me.
So there's something I do every single night between Sunday and Thursday, and that's prep the downstairs for a nice, smooth morning. Getting 4 kids ready for school is no easy task, so there are a couple things I do every night. I always set the table. I always try to make it a little festive and fun for the kids. It puts them in a good mood and gives them something exciting to look forward to. And I also lay out all of their lunch boxes. I make sure their backpacks are by the door. All of their shoes are next to it, because hunting for shoes in the morning can be a real drag to do with kids that are almost going to be late for school. So here are a couple things I do before I jump in bed and wake up the next morning to a nice clean house and get everything ready to go for the kids to have a smooth start to their day. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and got a little bit of inspiration for a nice new recipe, and I cannot wait to see you guys this weekend for my Sunday routine. I'll see you soon.